Hello, my dear one. Welcome to this sacred moment of stillness. This is Tara, and I'm so grateful that you've joined me tonight. Before we begin, take a slow breath in and out. Let the day fall away behind you. Let its noise fade into the soft hum of the night. You are safe here. You are home in this moment. Tell me, where are you listening from? Somewhere between the mountains and the sea, a quiet room filled with moonlight, or perhaps beneath a dim lamp beside your bed. Wherever you are, know that this time belongs only to you. It is the hour when the heart listens best, when the world softens into silence, and the spirit remembers its true voice. Tonight, I will walk with you through the ancient paths of Zen wisdom. Each story will open like a lotus petal in the stillness of your mind. Some petals will teach calm, some will reveal patience, and some will simply remind you how beautiful it is to be alive. Let your body rest deeply. Let your breath find its natural rhythm, like gentle waves touching the shore. With each exhale, release the residue of your thoughts, the little worries that try to cling. They cannot stay where peace has entered. There comes a moment, after all movement has softened, when the heart no longer seeks to go anywhere. The wind has taught its lessons. The rivers have carried their wisdom. The flames have burned. The clay has cooled. And what remains now is silence, vast, luminous, alive. This is the path of stillness. Close your eyes. Listen not to the words, but to what breathes beneath them. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is life seen without motion. It is the gentle awareness that watches the river flow and knows that the river was never separate from the ocean. On this final path, there is nothing to fix, nothing to seek, nothing to become. You have already arrived. The monk who gazed into the bowl, the traveler who returned to himself, the dreamer who awakened within his dream. All of them walked this same road. Now it is your turn not to walk, but to rest upon it. Each story that follows is not about finding peace, but recognizing it. The monk and the moon will remind you that reflection does not belong to water or sky, but to the stillness between them. The whisper beneath all things will show you that silence is not empty. It is full of the presence that moves through every breath, every leaf, every thought. And in the final circle of stillness, you will see that the path and the destination are one. Take a long, quiet breath. Let it fill your chest and feel it melt the last traces of striving. The air that enters you is the same that moves through trees, mountains, and stars. When you exhale, the world breathes with you. Stillness does not come because you stop moving. It comes when you stop dividing movement and rest. It is the space where doing and being become the same, where thought dissolves into awareness. If you listen closely, you may feel it now, the hush between heartbeats, the shimmer of peace that has always been here. That is not the end of sound. It is the light that gives sound its meaning. Here, even stories begin to fade. hearts bow down to silence. The listener and the tale dissolve into one quiet seeing. As you drift into this final journey, remember, the moon does not chase its reflection. The river does not ask the sea to find it. They meet simply by being what they are. So let this final path unfold within you like the slow rising of dawn, without effort, without sound. Let it carry you inward, into the peace that was never lost, the home that was never far. The light beyond sound awaits. Listen not with the ears, but with the heart. The next story begins, not in words, but in stillness. On the edge of a wide, misty river stood an old stone bridge. Its arches had carried countless travelers across the waters, merchants, monks, pilgrims, and lovers, all chasing something beyond the horizon. At one end of that bridge lived a lantern keeper named Asha. Each evening, as twilight melted into dusk, she climbed the narrow steps of the bridge and lit one small lantern after another until a trail of golden light stretched across the water. To the travelers, Asha was a quiet figure in a brown cloak, her hair streaked with silver, her face calm. Few spoke to her, for she seemed part of the bridge itself, silent, steady, eternal. But each night, when the last lantern flickered to life, she would bow to the river and whisper, "May all who cross be guided home." She had been lighting those lamps for 40 years. Once long ago, Asha had been a wanderer herself, restless, lost, searching for meaning in faraway lands. One stormy night, when she tried to cross this same bridge, the wind had extinguished all the lanterns. Halfway across, unable to see her path, she panicked and nearly fell into the raging water. But then, from the opposite shore, she saw a faint light, one single lantern held high by the bridge keeper of that time, an old man who smiled at her and said, "Step by step, the light is enough." She crossed safely that night, and from that moment, she never left the bridge again. When the old keeper passed away, she took his place, vowing to keep the light burning for every soul who needed it. Years came and went. Generations passed. Some nights were kind, the river calm, the wind gentle. Others were harsh, storms tore at her cloak, rain drenched her skin, and the lanterns fought to stay lit. Yet Asha never missed a night. "There will always be someone walking in darkness," she would whisper, "and I must be there to guide them." One winter evening, a young traveler approached. His face was pale with despair, his clothes torn by a long journey. He stopped before her and said, "Old mother, why do you light these lamps each night? The world is full of darkness. What can these few flames change?" Asha smiled, her eyes glowing with the reflection of a dozen flickering lights. "You are wrong, child," she said softly. "The world is not full of darkness. It is full of unlit lamps." The traveler frowned. "Still, these will fade by dawn." "Perhaps," she said, "but someone will see them before they do." He followed her as she climbed the bridge, one step at a time, lighting each lantern. The flame's gentle hum seemed to answer the night wind. "Do you never tire?" he asked. Asha paused, gazing at the reflection of the lights rippling upon the water. "When I was young, I sought the light in temples and scriptures," she said. "But I never found peace there. Only when I began to give light did I understand it was never meant to be kept, only shared." At the center of the bridge, where the current was strongest, she lit the last lantern and turned to him. "Do you see this river?" she asked. "Every day it erases its own reflection, yet it keeps flowing, giving life to the world. That is what it means to serve, to shine, even knowing you cannot hold what you illuminate." The traveler's eyes filled with tears. "But what of your own journey? Don't you wish to cross to the other side?" Ashas smiled. "I have crossed many times, each time someone found their way through my light." For a long moment, they stood together in silence, the sound of the river whispering beneath them. Then the traveler bowed deeply. "I have walked in darkness for many years," he said. "Tonight, I see the path again." Ashad touched his shoulder gently. "Then go, my son. Walk until dawn. The light will follow you." He crossed the bridge, the lanterns reflecting like a golden constellation upon the river. When he reached the far shore, he turned, but the old keeper was gone. Only the soft glow of her lamps remained, swaying gently in the wind. Many years later, the traveler returned, now an old man himself, carrying a small lantern of his own. The bridge had aged, some stones were broken, the river wider than before. But as night fell, he lit his lantern and placed it upon the bridge. Its glow joined the stars reflected in the water below. He whispered into the wind for Ashah, the one who lit the way. That night, the villagers said they saw the entire bridge shimmer as though touched by dawn. Some said they heard a voice, gentle, warm, like the wind itself, whisper, "Step by step, the light is enough." And ever since, travelers who crossed that bridge claimed that, even on the darkest nights, they felt a faint golden glow guiding their steps, not from the lamps, but from something deeper. Ashah's light had not vanished. It had moved into every soul that learned to light another's path. Because the bridge between darkness and dawn is not made of stone, it is made of compassion. And those who carry light within become the bridge itself. Long ago, in a vast empire surrounded by mountains and oceans, there lived an emperor who possessed everything a man could desire, armies that marched at his word, treasures from distant lands, and halls so grand that their ceilings disappeared into mist. Yet, despite his splendor, he could not sleep. Each night, he lay upon silk sheets, restless, his mind turning endlessly. "I rule the world," he thought, "yet peace escapes me like mist through open hands." One morning, he summoned the wisest sages of the realm. "I command you," he said, "to bring me peace. Bring it in a vessel I can hold, a cup I can drink from, so that I may be free from worry." The sages bowed low and scattered to the corners of the empire. They searched mountains, temples, deserts, and seas. They returned months later, bringing cups carved from jade, crystal and gold cups blessed by monks, cups engraved with sacred mantras. But when the emperor drank from them, nothing changed. His heart still fluttered with discontent. His mind still raced like a trapped bird. Finally, word reached him of a hermit who lived in the mountains beyond the empire, a man said to have attained perfect serenity. The emperor sent soldiers to summon him, but the hermit refused to come. "If the emperor wishes to drink peace," the hermit said, "let him come to the mountain. The stream flows for all." So humbled yet determined, the emperor disguised himself in simple robes and climbed the rugged path alone. For 3 days, he journeyed upward through forests and mist until he found a small hut beside a clear stream. The hermit sat there, mending a wooden bowl. The emperor bowed low. "Wise one," he said, "I am told that you possess peace. Teach me how to hold it. I have searched the world for a cup to contain it." The hermit smiled without looking up. "And what have you found?" "Only emptiness," said the emperor. "Nothing lasts. Even gold grows dull, and even joy fades." The hermit set down his bowl and gestured toward the stream. "Then you have already seen truth," he said. "Peace is not something to possess. It is what remains when the desire to possess fades." The emperor frowned. "Your words are deep, but I cannot drink them." The hermit nodded. "Very well, sit beside me." He took the wooden bowl he had been mending and filled it with water from the stream. Then he handed it to the emperor. "Drink." The emperor obeyed. The water was cool, clear, alive, like the breath of the mountain itself. "How does it taste?" the hermit asked. "Pure," said the emperor. "Simple, but it is only water." The hermit smiled. "Yes, yet it quenched your thirst, did it not?" The emperor nodded slowly. "Peace is like this," said the hermit. "It is not hidden in gold or carved in stone. It flows freely like water, but only an empty cup can receive it." The emperor looked at the bowl in his hands. It was rough, imperfect, patched with resin and thread. "But it is broken," he said. The hermit's eyes shone. "Exactly. That is why it holds. A perfect cup shatters with the first fall. An imperfect one learns to bend, to mend, to endure. You seek a cup of peace, but you have filled your life with perfection, crowns, thrones, armies. Your cup is too full." The emperor bowed his head. "Then what must I do?" "Empty it," said the hermit simply. He pointed to the flowing stream. "Do you see how it runs around rocks, beneath branches, between roots? It does not complain or boast. It simply moves, finding its path in silence. Be like that water. Rule not with grasping, but with grace. Speak less, listen more. Give, but do not count. Lead, but do not own." The emperor sat there for hours, watching the water dance through sunlight and shadow. Slowly, something within him softened, the hardness that years of command had built. He realized that true power was not the control of others, but the mastery of oneself. When he finally rose to leave, the hermit handed him the old wooden bowl. "Take this," he said. It will remind you to stay empty. The emperor returned to his palace quietly. No banners, no fanfare. His ministers were startled. Their ruler had gone away a king and returned like a monk. He placed the bowl upon his golden throne, where it gleamed faintly in the torchlight. From that day on, whenever he felt anger or pride rise within him, he would gaze at the bowl and remember the mountain stream. Years later, as he neared the end of his life, he told his son, "This bowl is the greatest treasure of our dynasty, not because it holds anything, but because it holds nothing." When the emperor died, his throne remained empty for 3 days before the coronation. The court whispered that his spirit still sat beside the bowl, watching, waiting, reminding the world of what it had learned too late. That peace belongs not to those who conquer, but to those who let go. And on quiet nights, when moonlight spilled through the palace windows, the servants swore they could hear the sound of running water, soft, eternal, like a mountain stream, whispering through the heart of the empire, far beyond the edge of the known lands, where mountains touched the sky and rivers sang their endless hymns. There stood a lone tree. It grew not in a forest, but in a vast, silent plain where nothing else dared to live. Its trunk was twisted, its branches wide, and its leaves shimmered faintly with a light that seemed to come from within. Those who passed by called it the tree of returning. No one knew who had planted it. Some said it grew from the staff of a wandering monk who had found enlightenment beneath the stars. Others said it had no beginning at all, that it simply was as eternal as the earth itself. One day, a weary traveler reached that place. His robe was torn by years of wandering, and his sandals were thin as paper. His face carried the dust of deserts, the salt of seas, the shadows of countless roads. He had crossed kingdoms, seeking something he could not name: wisdom, peace, or perhaps himself. When he saw the tree standing alone under the vast sky, his heart stirred. He dropped his pack and whispered, "Perhaps here my journey ends." He sat beneath the branches. The shade was cool, though no wind blew. He closed his eyes, and the silence of the plain wrapped around him like a great ocean. For the first time in many years, there was no urge to move. As he sat there, he heard a whisper, faint, gentle, as if the tree itself were speaking. "Traveler," it said, "why do you wander?" He opened his eyes, startled. I am searching for truth," he replied. "I have read scriptures, met sages, prayed in temples. Yet still my heart is restless. I cannot find peace." The voice came again, rustling through the leaves. "And where have you looked?" "Everywhere," said the traveler. "In holy mountains and deep caves, in the words of the wise and the silence of the stars." The tree was quiet for a long while. Then it said, "You have searched in all directions but one." The man frowned. "What do you mean?" The leaves shimmered softly. "You have looked outward, but not inward. The path you seek is not a road that leads away from you. It is the road that leads you back." The traveler lowered his gaze. Back, but I have come so far. The tree's voice was like the wind through 1,000 years. And yet, you have never left yourself. You cannot seek what you already are. Return, not to a place, but to the center of your own being. That is the only home that cannot be lost. The traveler's eyes filled with tears. But I do not know how to return. The tree's shadow shifted as the sun moved. Then be still, it said. When the river stops chasing the ocean, it finds it was always the ocean. When the wind stops running, it realizes it was the sky all along. The traveler closed his eyes again. His thoughts still circled, restless as birds caught in flight. But the tree's voice lingered in his heart, deep and rhythmic like a heartbeat. Be still. Return. So he breathed. He let the noise of the world dissolve the roads, the faces, the prayers, the dreams. Slowly, the layers of his searching began to fall away. Beneath them, he felt something ancient and familiar, a quiet pulse of being, steady and infinite. Hours passed, perhaps days. The traveler lost all sense of time. When he finally opened his eyes, the plains looked different. The sky was no longer distant. It felt close, vast, alive. The tree shimmered with light, and he realized it was not shining, he was. The light came from within him, reflected by the world around. The tree whispered one last time, "Now you see, the journey was never to find, but to remember." The traveler bowed deeply, pressing his forehead to the earth. "You have given me what all my travels could not. Then give it to others," said the tree. "When they ask you where you found truth, tell them, beneath the tree that grows within every heart." The man smiled, feeling a peace deeper than rest, a joy that needed no reason. He rose and turned to leave, yet every step felt lighter, as though he was walking not away, but homeward. As he walked across the endless plain, the wind stirred behind him, and for a moment, the leaves of the tree of returning glowed brighter, as if it were bowing in farewell. The traveler disappeared beyond the horizon, but those who came after swore that sometimes, when they sat beneath that same tree, they could hear the faint echo of footsteps, soft, unhurried, eternal, and a whisper carried by the wind. The way home is within. Years later, a new traveler found the same tree, worn and alone, and sat beneath it. And once again, the whisper began not from the tree, but from within his own heart. For truth never fades. It only waits for silence deep enough to hear it. In a quiet monastery perched high above the clouds, there lived an old woman known as the Dream Weaver. Her name was Amara. She was neither nun nor monk, but the monks said she had walked beyond both dream and waking long ago. Every night, after the final bell echoed through the mountain air, she would sit by her window and weave threads of silk, moonlight, and memory forming patterns too delicate for the eye to follow. The young novices whispered that her cloths were not meant to clothe the body, but to reveal the soul. It was said that those who slept wrapped in her woven silk would dream the truth of who they were. One evening, a young monk named Curran climbed to her room, burdened by doubt. The air smelled of jasmine and night rain. Through the open window, the vast valley shimmered in starlight. Amara sat before her loom, her fingers moving silently through threads that glowed faintly, as though they carried the moon's reflection. "Mother," Curran said softly, bowing low, "I come seeking peace, but the more I meditate, the further it drifts. My thoughts rise like smoke, my dreams confuse me. I see shadows where there should be light. Please weave me a dream that will show me truth." Amara smiled, her eyes deep as old water. "Truth," she said. "You ask for what no loom can hold, but perhaps I can help you see." She reached behind her and lifted a small candle, its flame no larger than a tear. "This is the candle of seeing," she said. "It burns not with wax, but with attention. Take it to your chamber tonight. Do not meditate, do not chant. Simply watch it burn. When your thoughts rise, return your gaze to the flame. When sleep comes, let it come gently. And when you wake, come tell me what you saw." Curran bowed and took the candle carefully, its glow warming his trembling hands. That night, he placed it before him and sat in silence. At first, his mind scattered like leaves in wind, memories, plans, fears, all spinning endlessly. But the flame did not move. It remained still, its golden heart alive and quiet. Slowly, his thoughts began to slow, drawn toward that stillness like moths circling the light. He watched the candle for hours. Its edges blurred, its center deepened. At some point, he no longer knew if he was watching the flame or if the flame was watching him. When morning came, the candle had burned to its end. Its last wisp of smoke rose like breath into the dawn. Curran felt lighter, but confused. He hurried back to Amara's room. "Mother," he said, "I watched as you said. The flame was calm, but I do not know what truth it showed me." Amara looked at him kindly. "Did the flame speak?" "No." "Did it move?" "No." "Did your mind still?" "Yes," he said quietly. "At last it did." "Then it spoke," said Amara. "You heard it in the silence." Curran frowned. "But what did it say?" She smiled. "It said, 'I am you.'" He stared at her, puzzled. "How can a flame be me?" Amara turned to her loom. Her fingers continued to weave as she spoke, her voice slow and soft. "Tell me, when you watched the flame, what disappeared?" "My thoughts." "And what remained?" "The flame." "And who was watching?" He hesitated. "I was." She nodded. "And when there were no thoughts, who were you then?" He fell silent. A long moment passed before he whispered. "There was only the watching. No me, no flame, just seeing." Amara looked up, her smile faint and luminous. "That is truth, not something to be found, but what remains when all searching burns away. The candle of seeing shows no visions, no revelations. It shows you yourself, not the name, not the body, but the witness beyond both." Curran's eyes filled with quiet awe. Then the truth is always here, only hidden by movement. Just as the stars are always shining, she said, but the sun blinds us by day. When the noise of thought fades, the light of being reveals itself. She handed him a small piece of silk from her loom. Its threads shimmered faintly in the morning light, forming a pattern that changed with every angle, now a flame, now a face, now only air. "Keep this," she said. "It will remind you that seeing is not done with the eyes, but with presence." Curran bowed deeply, his forehead touching the floor. "You have given me what I sought for years, and yet it feels as if nothing was given." Amara smiled gently. "Yes," she said, "that is how you know it is real." He left her chamber, carrying the small silk and the ashes of the candle. From that day forward, his meditation changed. He no longer strained to silence the mind. He simply sat, as one flame sits in the wind, unmoved, luminous, aware. And when the monks later asked him, "What did the dream weaver show you?" he would smile and answer, "She showed me that the candle never burned. Only the darkness did." That night, far above the valley, Amara continued to weave beneath the starlit sky. Each thread caught a fragment of light, of dreams, of souls, of moments seen clearly at last. And when the wind passed through her open window, it whispered as if singing through her loom. The eye sees the world, awareness sees the eye. When both become one, the dream is over. At the edge of a vast and quiet river lived a humble boatman named Saran. For 40 years, he ferried people from one shore to the other, merchants with heavy sacks, farmers returning from their fields, monks traveling to distant monasteries. Day after day, year after year, his small wooden boat creaked across the same waters, through sunrise and rain, through mist and moonlight. He was an old man now, with eyes like calm pools that had seen every kind of passenger, the joyful, the grieving, the lost, and the wise. Yet none had ever seen him hurry. His rhythm was steady as the river's pulse. People often asked, "Saran, don't you tire of crossing the same waters every day?" He would smile gently and say, "How can I tire of what always changes? No two crossings are ever the same. The river teaches me that movement is peace." One evening, as the sun bled into gold and rose, a young scholar boarded his boat. He carried scrolls tied with silk, his face sharp with intellect and restlessness. "Boatman," he said, "take me across. I seek a teacher on the far shore who can show me the meaning of life." Saran nodded and pushed off. The oar dipped softly into the current. Silence filled the air, broken only by the sound of water folding against wood. After a while, the scholar frowned. "Old man," he said, "you row so slowly. Do you not wish to reach the other side faster?" Saran smiled without stopping his gentle motion. The river does not rush, and yet it always reaches the sea. The scholar sighed impatiently. "You speak like a sage, but you're only a ferryman. What do you know of truth?" The old man chuckled. "Perhaps nothing. But after so many years upon this river, I have learned to let it teach me. The river flows both ways, outward and inward. Few ever notice the second flow. The scholar frowned. Inward, what do you mean? Saran pointed to the water's surface. The sky was reflected perfectly upon it, clouds drifting, birds gliding, the first stars awakening. This river outside, he said, is the same as the river within you. One moves with water, the other with thought. Both flow, both carry what you place upon them. But if you try to control their course, you will drown in your own effort. The scholar grew quiet. And what happens if I stop rowing? The boatman lifted his oar and let the current carry them. Then the river rose for you. They drifted in silence for a long time. The scholar watched the water glide past, its surface smooth, yet full of hidden motion. He began to feel his breath slow, his mind soften. For a moment, he forgot the teacher he sought, the questions he carried. There was only the sound of the river, the weightless pull of the boat, and the fading light of dusk. When they reached the far shore, the scholar stepped out, but turned back suddenly. "Old man," he said, "perhaps you are the teacher I was meant to find." Saran bowed slightly. "I am only the boatman. I carry others across, but every traveler must learn to cross his own river." The scholar nodded and left, his scrolls tucked under his arm, but his heart lighter than when he came. Days turned to weeks, and Saran continued his simple task. But one evening, a storm rose without warning. The wind screamed through the valley, and the waves turned wild. His boat, small and worn, was tossed about like a leaf. He held fast to the oars, his arms trembling, his heart steady. "You have carried me all my life, river," he whispered. "Tonight, let me carry you." When the storm passed, the boat drifted to a still part of the river, surrounded by silence so deep it seemed to breathe. Saran rested his oars and looked up. The sky had cleared, and the moon poured its silver light across the water. He saw his reflection, fragile, old, yet serene. For the first time, he realized how deeply the river had shaped him. Its patience had become his patience, its stillness his strength. He closed his eyes and felt his breath merge with the slow rhythm of the current. He whispered, "All my life I thought I was crossing you, but now I see I was crossing myself." That night, the villagers waited for the boatman to return, but the river carried only his empty vessel, gliding softly toward the sea. They found his oar tied neatly across the seat, and a small note carved into the wood. "The river outside leads to the ocean. The river within leads to peace. Row gently." From that day on, those who crossed the river swore they sometimes heard the faint sound of an oar dipping into water when no boat was near. Some said it was the current remembering him. Others said it was the echo of his final lesson. And on nights when the moon hung full and clear, the water shimmered as if alive, carrying not just reflections, but whispers of his voice. "When you stop rowing, you arrive. When you arrive, you realize you were never apart from the river at all. Beyond the walls of an ancient monastery, hidden among the folds of a forgotten valley, there lay a garden that no one had tended for 100 years. Vines had climbed over crumbling stones, moss had spread like soft dreams, and trees had woven their branches into green canopies that filtered sunlight into gentle gold. The monks of the temple spoke little of it. Some said the garden had once been a place of meditation. Others said it was cursed, a paradise abandoned when its keeper vanished without a trace. But one morning, a young monk named Ryo, curious and contemplative, wandered through the archway that led into it. The air inside felt different, heavier, yet alive. The scent of wild jasmine floated in the breeze. Butterflies drifted lazily above the tall grass, and birds sang songs that echoed faintly, as if remembering something ancient. Ryo knelt near a cracked stone path, brushing away the weeds with his hands. Beneath them, he found small inscriptions carved into the stones, words in fading script. He leaned closer and read aloud. To see a blossom unseen, close the eyes of wanting. He sat there for a long moment, his heart quiet. The words felt like an invitation. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. The wind stirred. Leaves rustled softly, and the sunlight shifted against his face. In the darkness behind his eyelids, the garden seemed to awaken. He felt it more than saw it, the pulse of roots, the rhythm of bees, the trembling hush of petals opening. It was as if life itself was whispering its secrets not in sight, but in silence. When he opened his eyes, the world looked the same, yet not the same. Colors shimmered more deeply. The air vibrated with presence, and even the smallest leaf seemed to hum with awareness. That evening, Ryo returned to the monastery and told his teacher, an old abbot named Shun. "Master," he said, "the garden is not dead. It is alive in a way I cannot explain. I saw blossoms that cannot be seen." The abbot smiled faintly. "Ah," he said, "then the garden has chosen to teach you. It was planted long ago not with flowers, but with silence. Each monk who entered it sought to see what cannot be seen. Few succeeded, for most looked with the eyes of the body, not the heart." Ryo bowed. "And what is the purpose of such a garden, master?" "To remind us," Shun said, "that beauty does not live in the flower, but in the seeing. 1,000 blossoms can bloom before a blind heart, and it will still find nothing. But one breath of presence can turn emptiness into paradise." That night, Ryo could not sleep. The memory of the unseen blossoms stirred within him like fragrance in still air. At dawn, he returned to the garden. This time, he did not walk the path. He sat beneath a great willow tree, closed his eyes, and began to breathe with the rhythm of the earth. The sounds around him merged: birdsong, wind, heartbeat, breath, until there was no difference between them. His awareness expanded like ripples in a pond. He felt the soil beneath him as though it were his own body. He felt the tree above him as though it were his own spine. And then, from somewhere deep inside that stillness, he saw, not with his eyes, but with being itself. Every petal, every blade of grass, every drop of dew glowed with silent radiance. The garden was not outside him, it was within. He realized that all beauty, all truth, all peace are but reflections of the still mind that perceives them. The unseen blossoms were not waiting to be discovered. They were blooming eternally in the light of awareness. When he returned to the monastery, the abbot asked, "Did you find what you sought?" Ryo smiled gently. "I found nothing," he said, "but I lost the part of me that was seeking." The old master nodded. "Then the garden has done its work." Years passed, and Ryo became the new abbot. Under his care, the monastery flourished. One spring, a young novice came to him and asked, "Master, why do you never restore the old garden? Its walls are broken, its paths overgrown. Would it not be better to plant new flowers?" Ryo led the boy to the archway. Together, they looked into the wild, tangled beauty beyond. "Look," he said softly, "and tell me what you see." "I see weeds, master, and ruin." "Then close your eyes," said Ryo. The boy hesitated, then obeyed. The wind moved gently through the grass, and somewhere a bird began to sing. "What do you see now?" Ryo asked. The boy was silent for a long moment. Then he whispered, "I see light, and something like breathing, and a great stillness." Ryo smiled. "Then the garden has begun to open for you too." That evening, the boy returned alone. He sat beneath the willow, closed his eyes, and breathed. And for a fleeting moment, he felt it, the same quiet radiance, the same invisible bloom opening in the heart. And so, the garden of the unseen blossoms lived on, not in petals or branches, but in every soul that learned to see beyond sight. It became said among the monks that when one sits in true stillness beneath that willow, the air itself begins to glow faintly, as if the unseen flowers are revealing themselves once again, but only for those who no longer need to see them. In a quiet temple nestled deep within the mountains, where the pines whispered secrets to the wind, there lived an old monk named Joran. He was known for his simplicity, a man who spoke little, laughed softly, and spent most of his days sweeping the stone courtyard or carrying water from the stream. Yet those who looked into his eyes saw something rare, a stillness that mirrored the sky after a storm. One night, when the moon was full and bright enough to turn the river into silver glass, a young monk approached him. "Master," the young man said, "I have been meditating for years, but my heart is restless. The more I seek clarity, the more confused I become. My thoughts ripple like wind on water. How can I make my mind still and clear like yours?" Joran smiled faintly. "Follow me," he said. They walked in silence through the temple grounds until they reached the stream. The moon shone above them, whole and luminous. Joran knelt and filled a small wooden bowl with water. "Tell me," he said, handing it to the young monk, "What do you see?" "I see the moon," the monk replied, gazing into the bowl. Joran took a twig and gently stirred the water. The moon's reflection broke into 1,000 trembling fragments. "And now?" he asked. "I see nothing clearly," said the monk. "The moon is shattered." Joran set the bowl down beside them and waited. After some time, the ripples stilled, and the reflection of the moon returned, calm, unbroken, serene. "You see," he said quietly, "the moon was never broken. Only the water was disturbed. So too, the mind does not lose truth. It only forgets its stillness." The young monk watched the reflection glimmer in silence. "But master," he said softly, "how do I still the water of the mind?" Joran looked toward the mountains and replied, "You do not. The more you try, the more waves you make. Instead, let the bowl rest. Stillness comes not from holding the mind still, but from letting it be free." The young monk pondered his words deeply. The night was quiet, except for the soft murmur of the stream. Above them, the moon seemed to listen too. After a while, Joran spoke again. "There was once a man who tried to capture the moon's reflection in a jar. Every night, he lowered his jar into the pond and tried to carry the moon home. But each time when he lifted it out, there was only water. One night, exhausted, he dropped the jar and sat by the shore. And in that moment of surrender, he realized the moon had never been in the pond. It had always been in the sky." The young monk bowed his head. "So I must stop trying to hold peace and simply let it shine." Joran nodded. "Yes, you cannot hold what you already are. The moon does not try to reflect, it simply shines. The water does not try to mirror, it simply rests. Be like both, full, still, and effortless." They sat there until dawn. The light of the moon faded into the first hues of morning, and the bowl's reflection vanished with the sun. Yet something had changed in the young monk. His heart felt spacious, his thoughts quiet, like the air after rain. In the days that followed, he continued his meditation, but differently. He no longer fought his thoughts or chased calmness. When his mind wandered, he smiled and let it return like the ripples settling in the bowl. Over time, his heart became as clear as the water beneath the moon. The night was silent, not the silence of absence, but the silence of completion. A silver moon hung above the mountains, its light spilling across fields, rivers, and rooftops, touching all with a single breath of calm. The wind was still, yet the air itself seemed to hum with something alive, something beyond sound. In a small temple at the edge of the forest, the lanterns had been extinguished. Tara, the gentle narrator who had shared many stories, sat alone before the open window. Her eyes rested upon the stars, her breath steady, her heart full, not with emotion, but with the deep, tranquil knowing that rises when all questions have fallen quiet. She spoke softly, her voice like the final note of a fading song. "So many stories we have journeyed through," she whispered. The rice pounder who found enlightenment in labor, the lion who discovered his own strength in reflection, potter who filled his cracks with gold, and the river that flowed through every heart. Her voice lingered in the air like incense smoke. Each story was never about others, she said. It was about you and me, and the whisper beneath all things. She closed her eyes, listening. If you sit quietly enough, she continued, you can hear it too, the sound before thought, the music beneath silence, the breath that moves through trees, through oceans, through the chambers of your heart. That whisper is not a secret, yet few pause long enough to hear it. A soft breeze drifted through the window, carrying the scent of night jasmine. Tara smiled faintly. Once the Buddha was asked, "What is truth?" And he said, "Silence." The listener was confused, so the Buddha added, "But it is a silence that hears." That is the whisper, not empty, but full, not still, but deeply alive. Outside, a single leaf fell from a tree, landing upon the pond below. Circles spread gently across the water, vanishing into stillness. "Do you remember?" Tara asked softly. "The pond that held the moon." The water was disturbed, and the moon seemed broken. But it was not. Nothing true ever breaks. It only waits for the mind to still enough to see it whole again. Her eyes glimmered with starlight as she continued, "Everything you seek, peace, love, meaning, awakening, it is already within you, whispering beneath every heartbeat. You need not climb mountains or chase answers across lifetimes. You need only return, like the traveler to the tree of returning, and remember." She placed her hands gently over her chest. The journey is not about finding light, but uncovering the veil that hides it. Every joy, every sorrow, every fall, even every silence, was never against you. They were all gentle teachers, shaping the bowl of your being so it could hold more light. For a while, she said nothing. The stillness deepened, not empty, but rich, like the space between two breaths, where everything exists, yet nothing moves. Then, almost as a prayer, she spoke again. "Close your eyes now. Feel the quiet beneath my words. Breathe. The same air that moves the stars moves through you. The same river that carries worlds flows through your veins. The same consciousness that dreamed the mountains into being is dreaming through your eyes right now." She paused, her tone softer still, the rhythm of her voice becoming almost like breathing. "You are not apart from the stories you have heard. You are the monk, the lion, the potter, the traveler, the river, the moon. You are the silence between them. You are the witness of it all, ageless, changeless, infinite." The moonlight deepened, painting her face in silver calm. "And when you forget," she said, "when the world grows loud and the heart grows heavy, return to this whisper. Sit by the inner river and listen. It will say only one thing over and over: you are home." The wind rose slightly, rustling through the forest, like applause from the unseen world. Tara smiled once more. "In the end," she said, "there are no endings. The stories fade, the words dissolve, but the silence remains eternal, luminous, complete." Her eyes drifted upward, tracing the moon's reflection in the pond below. The Buddha once said that enlightenment is like the moon reflected on water. The moon never gets wet, and the water is never broken. When you see both as one, that is awakening. Then she lowered her voice to a whisper. So tonight, let the stories fade like waves returning to the ocean. Let thought rest and awareness shine. Let the whisper beneath all things carry you into sleep, not as escape, but as return. A long silence followed, vast, gentle, whole. And in that silence, you could almost hear it. The breath of the earth, the pulse of the stars, and the soft, endless whisper saying, "You are the story, and you are the silence it was told in." The night deepened, the moon climbed higher, and the world lay bathed in stillness. No more words were needed. Only the whisper remained. The journey has come full circle. The moon has set, the river has met the sea, and the final whisper has returned to silence. Yet the silence is not empty. It hums softly with everything that ever was and will be. The path of stillness is not an ending, but a homecoming. It is where all movement rests, where every question dissolves, and where the listener and the story become one. Now, what remains is not thought or sound, but the awareness that has held them all, the listener that never left. Each story that brought you here was a doorway to this stillness. The monk and the moon taught that peace is reflection, not pursuit. The whisper beneath all things revealed that silence is not absence, but presence too vast for words. And the circle of stillness gathered them all into one truth, that what you have sought through 100 stories has always been listening through your own heart. Breathe now. Feel the rhythm of your chest rise and fall, the tide of your being. This is the same rhythm that moves through rivers, through seasons, through the stars in their endless turning. You are not apart from it. You never were. The rice pounder's rhythm, the lion's roar, the potter's wheel, the dream weaver's flame, all were echoes of this same silence, this same breath. They were never separate journeys. They were reflections of the same awakening, seen through different mirrors. In the beginning, you listened to find peace. Now you listen and realize that you are peace. You began with questions. You end with quiet knowing. You began with stories. You end with stillness that speaks through everything. If there is one truth that threads through all, it is this: you are not the traveler seeking the way. You are the way itself, unfolding, resting, returning. The mountain does not climb itself. The river does not chase the ocean. And you need not chase yourself. You have already arrived. Let every sound now fade softly. Let your breath slow into the hush of the universe, breathing with you. Let the stories drift like petals on water, leaving behind not memory, but fragrance. What remains is simple, infinite, clear. A light that does not flicker. A silence that is not the end of sound, but the beginning of understanding. A peace that does not come and go, because it was never apart from you. Rest now, not not as someone listening, but as listening itself. The world outside has quieted, and the world within is calm. This is the heart of stillness, timeless, formless, full. And when you open your eyes again, whether it be in dream or in morning light, the same peace will remain, waiting not in temples or skies, but in the quiet center of your own being. For even when the story ends, the light remains, the silence remains, the peace remains, and it will follow you gently, endlessly, like the soft glow of dawn that never truly leaves the sky.